it's Melanie Johnson with Elite Online Publishing here at the Habitude Warrior Conference again in Boston.
And we're at the senior prom.
I'm with Doug Grady, one of my favorite people to interview, favorite people to listen to. So we talked to him earlier, but I want to touch on something different. Doug speaks all over the country all the time, and I know a lot of people that view into us want to become speakers or are speakers and trying to be better speakers and get more speaking gigs. So Doug, tell us a little bit about how you got started in your speaking career and maybe some tips of people to get speaking gigs.
Well, I started working with people like Brian. Well, specifically, my first seminar promoted, I was 24 years old. It was Brian Tracy. I went on the road with Dan Lear and Peter Montoya. They're still great friends of mine.
And how did you do that? How did you contact them and get started?
I just made a decision. I had a man come. I had a pretty successful career for a young person in the insurance industry, and I had a guy come into my office and speak to my team. His name was Tom Gundrum. He asked me if I wanted to work for him and his company. It took me a while, but when I finally made the decision, I loaded up my car from California. I drove from California to Miami, Florida, and I started working with these guys. And so I was pretty young, aggressive, and naive, and so I only worked with them for about 6-7 months. They're still all really good friends of mine, but I wanted to start promoting my own seminars and my own speaking engagements. And so I took that same model of promoting Brian Tracy, and I started promoting Doug Grady. So I would just call companies up and say, hey, I'd like to come in and share some ideas with your team. At the end, I'll outline a seminar, let people know how to register, and that's a potential win for me. So I did that for a while in Atlanta for a few years. And
you cold called, basically, cold called companies.
I cold called a lot of companies. I asked for referrals, and so it was a combination of things. And so I did that for a while. I was young and stupid. I made a lot of mistakes, but I made up for my young stupidness, and I worked really, really hard.
Yeah.
I worked a lot of hours, and I just would talk to anybody that would listen. So now it's been 23 years later, and I guess it was about 3 years ago, I met with a guy named Kit Cummings. He's a faith-based speaker, faith-based author. And a man I'd already known about before I met him. He had a great reputation preceding him. I'd heard about him quite some time, and he said something to me that always stuck with me. He said, I go where I'm invited. And so ever since I heard that, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go where I'm invited. So this year I've been in 30 cities. I've spoken on very big stages. I've spoken on small stages. I've spoken on no stages, but I go where I'm invited. And I'm paid a fee for corporations and conferences. If we have to get creative, sometimes we look at ways we can serve the greatest good for an organization. And so it's just it's a blessing to be able to share gifts with other people. And so I look at it. So I would encourage people that are starting out just to stay with your core passion of who you are. Like, what is it that you're here to give people? I don't want to say forget about the money, because you got to be strategic and you got to do well with marketing. And that's not my strength. There's a lot of people that'll be better talking to you about marketing and about strategy and about ClickFunnels and all of that stuff. But what I really believe that I've held true to throughout the couple decades I've been in this industry is I want to give who I am and what I am where I'm invited. And that's been a philosophy that I've been adhering to for quite some time. It's worked very well for me.
You know what I like is you transition to inviting yourself, really cold calling, asking people, please take me, right, to just going where you're invited to.
Yeah.
And I love that transition. And in that early years, for people who are starting out, were you able to ask a fee, or were you speaking for free and then trying to sell the webinar in the back end?
It was a little bit of both. So Brian Tracy has a great phrase. He says, if you can take the money, take the money. I mean, if there's a fee available, you want to ask for the fee. And so part of it is a mindset game, really increasing in your own mind that you're worthy. I'm worth X amount of thousands of dollars to present. So that can take a while to get there. That can take a while to believe that. And then to think you believe it, then to ask for it can be a couple of different things. So I've done it all. I still do it all. There's still times for the right opportunity where I'll come in, I'll waive my fee, and we'll talk to people about one of the core programs that we do, and some of those are some of the greatest experiences I've had this year. And then there's other corporations and conferences, they want to book, they just want to pay your fee, so you take the fee. But I think flexibility is important, staying in your core is important, and figuring out ways to be able to speak more often in a way that helps everybody involved. That's what I've been about for 23 years, and I'll continue to be that for 23 more, hopefully.
And you know what else I love about Doug is he offers that webinar. You have a book that either you sell at the explain how you use your book when you speak.
Well, sometimes I give the book away when I speak. Sometimes I sell the book. Sometimes if somebody wants me to come into a city, I'll ask them to pick up X amount of books just to help me monetize that trip or offset my expenses. So you just want to get creative. So one thing is having a book or having an offering. If you're waiting around to get booked for your fee all the time, that may not be the recipe for X amount of revenue per year. So you want to have several different ways of creating streams of income. That can be online, offline. It can be a program. Our program is called 40 Days of Focus. We had 1,500 people go through this program. I mean, that's a lot of people, and it's not free. And a lot of people bought the book. So you want to have access to different ways of generating revenue. You want to make yourself invitable. Your best marketing many times is how well and effectively you communicate and connect with the people you're speaking to, because that makes you invitable. Somebody from that group, somebody from this group has already invited me to speak to their group. So if you're not becoming invitable, you want to go back to work on the content. If you don't have anything to present and to monetize, if you're waiving your fee, that can be an issue. So you just want to think all these things through. Be passionate, but be intelligent.
So it's such great advice. Now, I overheard you saying the 40 days. Tell us where they can reach you, where they can sign up for your courses and products and services.
Well, the main site is douggrady.com. 40 Days of Focus is 40daysofocus.com or 40dayfocus.com. It starts with a simple choice. You do one discipline every day, 40 consecutive days. Can you even do it? I mean, that's the first question. Will you even do it? And if you did it, what would happen? You don't even know what would happen until you do it. So that's really the core of that program. So if you want to touch base with me personally, best way to do it is douggrady.com. And we'll see you at the senior prom dance.
See you at the prom. Melanie Johnson for Elite Online Publishing here at Habitude Warrior. Thanks, Doug.
Awesome. Thanks.